Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Well, I'm home. I'm back in Indianapolis on this beautiful, spooky Halloween evening. It's misting a little bit outside, and it is 47 degrees. 40 degrees, it's like 40 degrees, well, not exactly 40 degrees, but it's like 30 some degrees colder here than it was in Florida when we left today. Although it was pouring, absolutely pouring down rain today in Florida. We got up this morning at 9 o'clock and we took, we had everything packed up and ready to go last night, like all of our suitcases and stuff. And I had the vlog ready to go and the Q&A and everything for today. So all we had to do was take all the sheets off the bed and then put the towels, and the laundry room was in the garage, just putting it all in the garage, and then bagging up all of the groceries that we had opened and started eating or had eaten most of, but anything unopened we could leave for them. So we left, we left quite a bit of stuff, honestly. We left some paper towels, and it was I couldn't find any trash bags for the kitchen, trash thing we got there. All this stuff was in the garage. So I got a thing of laundry detergent, the little pods. I got a thing of dishwasher detergent, kitchen trash bags, but just small ones, because Alex told me just get the small ones, so, but they can use those. Macaroni and cheese, a bunch of Diet Coke and Coke. I think Alex left them one of those Trulies or whatever those are called. And then my coffee I left behind. A bar of soap. And it does whatever. But anyway, so we did all that and then said goodbye to the house. I always have to say goodbye to the house or the hotel room or wherever we're staying. And then we had to leave the house at 10, and we didn't have to be at the airport till 12 to take our to drop off the rental car. So I was just drive. Let's drive around. Let's go into Hollywood and look at Hollywood. So we went into Hollywood and we drove around Hollywood a little bit. We wanted to go into Aventura, which we've driven through before. But we didn't make it all that way down there. We just went into Hollywood and then we went over. And the rain was so bad that it was Alex is we're not gonna really get to see anything today to see what we really think of it. I had a little bit of this Red Bull left from a week ago. I was just sipping on it because it was good. It's the green one. I don't know what this flavor is. Oh, it's called the green edition. Kiwi apple. It's really good. And got to the airport. Took the car back to the rental place, the Jeep, and then we, checked our bags and all that, and then we had to wait an hour, and it went really quick. We just kind of sat there, we got coffee, and then we flew from Fort Lauderdale to Charlotte, and then Charlotte to... I feel I watched 2 movies. Did I just watch 1 movie? No, I watched 2 movies. And then we flew from Charlotte to Indianapolis. It was really a quick flight. We left at 2:30, 2:40, and we were back in Indianapolis by 7:30. So it was super quick. It wasn't bad at all. And our bags were right off the plane. They were the first ones off the plane. And so then we came and got our car and drove out of the garage and came home, and we unpacked all of our stuff is unpacked already. It's we're ready for the week. I always unpack my stuff. I think I said something about this in my video yesterday, that Alex doesn't usually unpack his bags. And I said to him tonight, I said, you don't usually unpack your bags? He goes, well, sometimes I do. And I said, well, not usually. He goes, yeah, huh? I was okay. But we got everything unpacked. My computer is back in place, and the cord is plugged in, and everything is. I brought all of these masks. I literally have so many masks now. Okay, I have to tell you though, I've been buying these Goodfellow masks But I used these on the plane because I had a mask, this black Goodfellas mask, and it wasn't comfortable. And so, this was on the way down there. I asked the flight attendant, I said, do you guys have any of those, like, these kind of masks? Because she had one on. And so she handed me this, like, little thing that they give you that has, like, 4 or 5 of them in here. And this is these disposable masks, and these are what I have been using, and I really, really like them. And I have these at home. Like, I ordered a bunch of them, and I have them at home. So, I have like 50 or 100 of them at home. So I'm going to start using those. They're 10 times more comfortable. So yeah, anyway. The flights are all like half capacity. Like, they say they're full, but like they're not filling all the seats. And at the airport, like, they have it like every 3rd seat you can sit down, but like it's not even full. Like, the airports seem dead. It's weird. So anyway, that was that. Unpacked everything. Alex did work on the plane on the way home, and I watched, first I watched this horror, well, last night I finished Ratchet. Is it out of focus? Come on now. Don't do this tonight. I don't want to turn it off and start it over again. Last night I have this gray hat on all day long. I'm actually going to take the hat off. My hat, it's kind of hurting my head. I'm still like getting this hat like broken into. The pee-pee hat that says Bachelor on it. Like, it fits perfectly, but I'm still like breaking it in a little bit. But anyway, I've been wearing a hat all day long today. Trying to figure out the defrost situation here. What was I gonna say? Oh, I finished Ratchet last night. I stayed up until like 3 o'clock and finished it. It was really, really good, you guys. It's like hands down one of the best shows I've watched in a long time. It's not what I thought it would be. It's very much like, if you've watched any of the ride, it feels like a season of American Horror Story is what it feels like. Because it has like that, it has Sarah Paulson in it, which I love, and then it has like, what's his name, Finn Ritrock or something like that. He's in a lot of the American Horror Stories. I had a couple people that were in American Horror Story, but then you know how like Ryan Murphy always does, like, who's the other, Brad Falchuk or whatever his name is, and like they produce it together, create it together. You know, they always put like celebrities that it, like Sharon Stone was kind of like how Lady Gaga was to Hotel. Sharon Stone was to like this series. Sharon Stone was fantastic in it, and Amanda Plummer was fantastic in it. But I have to tell you, like, having watched the whole thing, and I am such a Judy Davis fan, way back in the day of Passage to India, because my mother loved that movie so much. I think it's a D.H. Lawrence book, but my mom really, really loved that movie. And so I've seen it a couple times. I need to see it again. But Judy Davis, if you've seen it, I think she's the one that, like, no, it's like I think it's her mother or her mother-in-law gets scared in the catacombs and she comes running out. Or is that Judy Davis? But I don't know, like, that's a big scene, like, in the movie. But I love Judy Davis. She is so fantastic in this show. She has some of the best lines ever, too. Like, there's this one scene, this won't ruin it for you, but she, like, is sitting there, and Sarah Paulson says to her, have you seen this nurse? She's like, it's like this dance. This totally, oh, this stupid camera. Why is it doing it to this tonight? I swear this will not ruin it for you whatsoever, okay? But she says, she's like, have you seen this nurse? And Judy Davis looks at her, and she's like, well, I can't say part of it because that will give it away. But she was like, that's not my problem. She's like, that's not my fucking problem. I'm just here to dance with my man. She's so funny. She's so good in the role. Anyway, she plays Betsy Buckets, this nurse, next to Nurse Ratchet. But I will tell you, like, the last 2 episodes threw me out. Like, I was not expecting. Like, Alex was like, what do you think is going to happen in the last episode? And I was like, I don't know. Because, like, in the second to the last episode, it kind of wraps everything up. And then So you're kind of like, well, what's going to happen in the last episode? Like, it's all kind of wrapped up, right? And like, Ryan Murphy is known for like not just having a boring last episode. So I was like, surely, and don't call me Shirley, he's going to have some boring last episode, right? Oh my God, the last episode is like the best episode of the whole series or whole show, whatever. But oh my God, it is so good. I highly recommend Ratchet to anybody. And it's not like, I will say this, it's rather gory. It's like really gory. But I wouldn't say it's scary. Like, I wasn't scary at all. But I do have to tell you guys something that's so funny. So, I went for a late night, I went skinny dipping last night, real late at night. But anyway, between the rainstorms. And I was like, the last night I'm in this pool, I've got to. So anyway, nobody cares. Nobody wants to see all that anyway. So anyway, but I was sitting out there afterwards. I like towel dried off, and I was like sitting there with like I put on like my sweat shorts and my t-shirt, and I was sitting there watching like the last episode and a half. Well, I had like 15 minutes of the second to last episode and an hour left of the last episode, and I was so comfy because I had just gone for this really nice swim, and I was in my clothes and stuff, and that frog, it started pouring down rain, okay, and that frog started up again, and I was like, oh my God, this frog. Froggy went a what was that song back in the day? Froggy went a hunting? No, Froggy went a, I don't know. And he did right, do you guys remember that song? Do you remember that song in like kindergarten was like, who stole the cookies from the cookie jar? Anyway, there's a bunch of songs that we used to learn as kids. You guys remember all those songs? How do you, like, we must have sang them 10 million times. That's why we remember all those songs. But, so I was sitting there, and I was like, I started hearing that frog again, and I was like, where is that frog coming from? And I like looked over at my left, and I saw it jump, you guys. It was so loud. It was like, I was like, honest to God, I thought it was a duck at one point. I was like, this has to be a duck, right? So I look over, and it is literally, the frog is this big. It is the world's smallest frog. I was like, I could see it jump. And I was like, is that the frog that is making all this noise? Like, it cracked me up. It was so funny. I've actually gotten quite a few people reach out to me and ask me what the name of the book is that I'm reading. And the book that I'm currently reading is called Death Overdue. And it's by Alison Brooks, and it's the first book in the Haunted Library series, and it's actually included in the Audible Prime, like, included. It's one of those books. A lot of the cozy mysteries, like the first, it is hot in here. A lot of the first books are included in the Audible Prime. This is so weird that this road is now closed, where they put these apartments up. They put apartments where there used to be a mall. Because, you know, of course, what we need is more apartments, more condos, more strip malls. I think it's so funny, this mall that's here, Glendale. So my mom graduated from high school in '61. And in her yearbook, there's pictures of this mall. And this mall was like, really, here you can see it right here. This mall, which is like nothing now. But this was like a big deal back in the day. And it was like one of the first like outdoor malls. And okay, so it was like such a big deal. And like in her senior yearbook, there's like all these pictures of the mall, and like they have people there and stuff. And when I was like taking pictures outside, like posed, and when I was a little kid, we would go to the Glendale Mall, my mom and I, all the time, because it had like Ayers there and Blocks, and there was like big department stores, and it was like where you would go, like to see Santa Claus and all that kind of stuff, and like all of the stores were in there. And then at this one part, it used to be in the basement, but then they moved them upstairs. They had these like metal penguins, and I used to love to play on these metal penguins. You could like sit on them and like climb them, and it was for kids, right? What was the restaurant that my mom and I used to go there when I was a kid? There was Hula Hands that was there. That was real cool. It was like a Hula Hands, so like way back in the day. There was some other restaurant there. But anyway, I have kind of a funny story. Well, it's not really a funny story, but it's like, so my mom was like this incessant talker. Like, that's definitely where I get it from. And I was at a friend's funeral, and this woman that I had heard that, like, when she tells her story, she talks about my mom in her story. And she came up and told me, she was like, I've wanted to tell you this personally for so long, but, like, your mom was like kept me from relapsing. I was like, what? And she was like, I was in the Glendale Mall, and she was like, I was gonna, whatever restaurant, she was walking there, and she was like, I had just decided that I was gonna get drunk, and I was done, you know? And she was like, I ran into your mom. Somebody is texting me. She's like, I ran into your mom. And she's like, and you know how your mother was? And she was like, and she would just talk and talk and talk. And she was like, I could not get rid of her. And she said, the next thing I knew, we were standing beside my car. I don't even know how I got out of the mall. And she, and it was like the half an hour, 40 minutes later or something like that. You don't know that you're helping people sometimes when you are, you know? And isn't that a crazy story? I've had a couple people come up to me and tell me stories like that about my mom. You know, my mom and I, we went to completely different, well, I'll tell that in a second. But so anyway, that mall, oh, this is Broderpool. This is where my mom grew up. And that was actually, Peaches Records was right upstairs. Well, it was upstairs, like on the second floor of that. And this was the trophy shop where they sold trophies and stuff. But my mom went to Broderpool High School. And what's so interesting is that, like, it took all of this time and energy to build this mall. Like, my mom would say, you know, like, the whole time I was in high school, like, they were building this mall. It was like this big deal, this Glendale Mall, right? And then, like, it opens and it's this big deal. And now they're slowly tearing it down bit by bit. It's so sad. It's so weird, isn't it? It smells like greasy food outside. And I am not opposed to that. Anyway, I just think it's strange, you know, it's like, we build everything up just to tear it down again, you know, it's like, Alex and I were like, was it last night we were driving around, and I said, look at that building over there, and I know a lot of buildings do this, but it's like, you see all these apartment buildings that are like 10 stories high, and then on the roof, they have like a man-made like park on top of the building, and I'm like, does nobody see the irony of that? Like, does nobody see the irony, okay? That we've probably destroyed natural land with trees and area so that we can build 10 feet, 10 stories above, so that we can put a man-made park or garden on the top. I mean, it's just, it's insanity to me, you know? Why do we need so many buildings and stuff? We just don't, you know? And then we just tear them down and we make them bigger, tear them down, make more space. It's just sad. I miss wide open spaces. So anyway, I think there was a celebrity on our first flight. I do that. He had like, if he was a celebrity, he was like young. And he was like a musician or like a TikToker or something like that. Because he had like this huge gold Rolex. And then he had like a Nike shirt and like pants and like shoes, like Nike shoes on. And he had these huge like black sunglasses. And then he had a hoodie like pulled way down over his head. Like you couldn't see him at all. And, oh, I was pulling in here to see who was texting me. It's Valerie. Hi, Valerini. She and I've been texting all day today. We got off the plane and I said, because I told Alex, I said, I think that's a celebrity. He goes, no, it's not. I go, yeah, I think it is. So we were standing there and I was like trying to get something out of my bag. I don't even remember what I was getting out of my bag. Oh, I was putting my AirPods back in my fanny pack. But I was like being real slow about it because I was like waiting, you know, to see this guy. He goes, come on. He goes, he's not famous. I go, I want to see who it is. Oh, man. When I was 16, and for my 16th birthday, we went to California, my dad and my stepmom and I. At one point, I thought I wanted to move to Los Angeles and be a movie star. Can you even imagine? But anyway, my stepmom one day wanted to get her hair done. Like, she wanted a whole spa day, and it was some famous, it was like, remember Jose Bear? It was somebody like that. I don't know who it was. But she wanted her hair done and all these kinds of stuff. Okay, people used to tell my stepmom that she looked like, and that trip, oh my God, like 5 or 6 people came up to us and were like, are you so-and-so? Why can't I think of who that actress is? They used to think I wish my dad would, I would text him or call him and be like, who do they used to? They used to always think she was, well, I'll have to ask him and then let you know. She's somebody famous, but not like super famous. But anyway, so she was like doing her thing for the whole day, and that was actually kind of a fun trip. We flew into San Francisco, although I was not interested in San Francisco whatsoever. And I can, to be honest with you, I can't even tell you what we did in San Francisco. I feel like we went to Alcatraz, but I don't really remember. But I feel like we did something about Alcatraz. I have to ask my dad if we went out there or not. I was so checked out. Like, that was the very first trip I ever like went on where like I wanted to be at home with my friends because I had finally made friends and stuff, you know, and it was my 16th birthday. And then I came home and my mom's had a surprise birthday party for me. But, so we flew into San Francisco. We were gone for like 8 or 9 days, I think. And then my dad rented a car, actually, and we drove down Highway 1 or whatever that is. And my nose is driving me. Oh, I trimmed my beard last night. It always drives me nuts when I do that. So we drove down Highway 1. And we went to this place called, I think it's called Nepenthe. Anyway, my dad loved that coast area where you like see the sea lions and stuff. And there was this one hotel, wasn't even really a hotel, it was like this, you go there and you stay, and they had like these like cabins like in the woods, but it was like super upscale. We stayed there for like 2 nights. It was like very romantic and stuff. And I think my dad and my stepmom, like, they really wanted to stay there. But like, then I was there, so they had to like get me a room too, you know, obviously. My dad and my stepmom had like stayed there before, like gone out there just to stay there. Like, what was that place called? I feel like Nepenthe is the town. It was like Ventana or something like that. There's also a hotel, this is another funny story, in Cabo San Lucas called Las Ventanas, and we were staying at another hotel, and this is when I was with my first boyfriend. The 4 of us went there, and we were staying somewhere not nice, though, I can remember. I think it was like the JW Marriott, and it was nice, and my dad and my stepmom, oh, it was something to do with like the last day, like something happened with our flight. And so we had to stay, and they all put us like up in this other hotel or something. I can't remember what happened. We got like 1 more day there, right? And my dad and my stepmom went and like checked into this hotel. Oh my Lord, this camera hasn't been out this whole time. I hate that it does that. Come on. There you my dad and my stepmom went and stayed at this hotel. Okay, I'm just gonna turn it off. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. You know, the only thing that fixes it when it gets so bad like that is that I have to turn it off and start it again. But anyway, my dad and my stepmom went and stayed at this hotel called Las Ventanas. And I can remember, like, at the very end, they were like, stop by and like have a drink because we want you to see this room. And the room had like this fireplace, and it was like, it had its own infinity pool that like looked over the ocean and stuff. We were like, yeah, we'd like to stay here too. But anyway, but we stayed at this, I think it was called Ventana. But I actually saw, my nose. I actually saw Daniel Prada, Joey Graceffa's ex. He, no offense to Joey Graceffa, but like, I stopped following Joey Graceffa a long time ago. Daniel Prada is hilarious, and I think his videos are, he's like somebody that I could imagine being friends with. Like, we have some of the same interests. His videos are more interesting to me, but anyway, they're broken up now, so I guess it's a moot point anyway. But he stayed at this place called Ventana, or whatever it was called. But I remember these rooms, and for 16, I must have had like an incredible room by myself, which was kind of always the deal whenever we would go on vacation, you know? Because my dad would always get me my own room. And so, but I had like this little like cabiny room area. And then I remember there were like trails in the woods, and it was like you could walk and like look down at the ocean. It was on the ocean's edge, and you could see like the sea lions and stuff like that, and seals, I think the seals. But you would have these little trails, and then there was like this area. Why is my back windshield so, how do I, here? And then like it would take you to like where you ate, and like people got dressed up to eat. It was very like, the beds were like wood and down beds. I mean, it wasn't like camp. I mean, it was like Ralph Lauren meets the woods. I mean, it was gorgeous. And I remember like breakfast. I don't know why breakfast is the only meal I remember, but it was like you would go through this line, and it was like they had like 4 different kinds of granola, homemade honey, jelly, muffins, fruit to put in your granola, like fresh, you know, squeezed juices. It was like incredible. And then from there, we drove to Santa Barbara, and we went to go see the Hearst Castle. And I can't remember what happened, but my dad was like really tired. Like, we went to go do the Hearst Castle, I think, because like my stepmom wanted to see it or something, and we thought it was going to be something that it turned out being different than it was. Nobody in my family is like, we don't love like the touristy stuff, which is fine by me, because I never have been. I'm like, give me a beach all day long. But for some reason, we went to the Hearst Castle, and my dad was really tired, and we went to go check into this hotel. I can't even remember what the hotel was, but it was on the beach, and they had lost our reservation. And my dad is not somebody that loses his cool. Like, my dad is very, very patient. And the person, whoever was checking us in, was like extremely rude to us. And my dad was so calm, and I remember this manager came over, and they were like so apologetic, this manager. Like, my dad didn't say anything. This guy was like, I'm so sorry, and he was really rude to you and whatever. And so he was like, but the only thing that we have is the presidential suite. And I can remember looking at my dad, and my dad was so tired from driving. And he was like, well, I guess that's what we'll have to do then. And I remember we stayed in this presidential suite, which I don't think they gave us for any kind of deal or anything. Maybe they did, I don't know. But I remember we stayed in this presidential suite, and my stepmom and I walked in, and it was literally like 5 bedrooms. It was like massive, and we're like, oh my god, oh my god. But we were there literally, we checked in at like 5 or 6, and we were like out the next morning at like 10, so we weren't even there that long. And then from there, we went to Los Angeles, and Cheryl Teagues, is that her name? That's who my stepmom, people, I'll have to pull in here and look. That's who people used to tell my stepmom that she looked like. And she does, too, or she did back then. But Cheryl Teagues, is that her name? I think that's her name. She was like a bathing suit model, and she was like in some TV shows and movies. Is that her name? I can't remember if that's her name or not. Anyway. gonna have to pull in here and look. So then we stayed at the Beverly Hills Hotel because I was like obsessed with Hollywood and all this kind of stuff. That and like London, the punk rock scene. I was obsessed with like those two scenes. So, and like I'd always wanted to like live in Hollywood and all that kind of stuff. So we stayed there. But anyway, hold on a second. Cheryl Teagues, is that her name? Cheryl T-E, here she is, Cheryl Teagues. American model and fashion designer. Multiple appearances in the covers of Sports Illustrated, 1978. This has to be her. Why is it not pulling up any pictures though? Why is it not letting me? Because it was always when she wore big sunglasses because of her hair. I can't tell today. Oh, yeah, it was her. It was Cheryl Teagues. That's who people always told my stepmom that she looked like. I don't really think she does, though. That's so funny. Yeah, I guess kind of. But anyway, we got stopped like several times while we were in Los Angeles, and people were like, are you Cheryl Teagues? Anyway, but she wanted to get her hair done and her nails and everything and have a spa day at this some famous hair salon spa. So my dad and I went to Universal Studios. He still has, oh, by the way, we were talking a couple times, we talked a couple times on this trip, but he was telling me that he got the home movies back of me when I was a little kid with my mom and my dad and stuff. So he was like, you've got to see him. He was like, yeah, he was like, I guess you were a pretty cute little kid. He goes, when you weren't crying and whining. I said, Dad, shut up. He was like, but he was like, there's a lot of footage of your mom. You're going to be really happy. So anyway, my dad and I went to Universal Studios and we did the tour and we did the part where Jaws comes out of the water, and of course I was absolutely terrified. And then I need to turn around is what I need to do. And then we did that. We didn't do Disneyland. I've never been to Disneyland. I've only been to Disney World. And then we went to some mall, and it was like a couple stories high, and my dad was like, you can get what, he was like, you can get whatever you want. And I went to this, it was like a Sunglass Hut or something, and I got a pair of like the old school, I have them in the basement somewhere, you guys, like I want to find them so bad because now they're vintage, like literally they are. I have a pair of like original Ray-Ban Wayfarers. Well, not like from the 50s, but I have like, I got them in like that would have been 87. Oh my God, this camera, are you kidding me? Stupid thing. And they're tortoiseshell and they were so cool. And those are what I got. And I remember when we were in that store, this is before Shazam and all that stuff, they were playing like punk music when I was in there because I knew some of the songs. And then Lou Reed's Walk on the Wild Side came on, which ended up becoming like one of my, I can see it's like over here and I gotta pull it onto, okay, which ended up becoming like one of my all-time favorite songs. But they were playing that in there and I was like, who is this? And she was like, Lou Reed. And now ever since then I've been like this huge Lou Reed fan. But you know when you take like one trip and like it changes you, like I thought that trip would be the one that would like, you know, I'd come back and I'd basically be a movie star, but that didn't happen. Oh, but this is what I was gonna say. Like the whole time that we were out there, unless I'll have to ask my dad, but I feel like we only saw one famous person other than my stepmother, Cheryl Teagues. But we saw Cher driving like a convertible Rolls Royce or Bentley or something like down through, like on Rodeo Drive. We like walked through Rodeo Drive too. My dad and my stepmom went to, I was like, you know, obsessed with fashion when I was growing up as a kid. And my dad, this would have been before Versace was killed, they went to Italy. I don't remember for what. Well, they went for the French Open, and then they went to, my dad and my stepmom love Positano. I think it's Positano, Italy. They'd gone there for a couple times with friends, and they rent a house and stay there for a couple of weeks. And, but while they were there, they went to whatever, Rome, or whatever I don't know what city is, but, where like all the shopping is, but they went to the Versace store, and they brought me back all these like catalogs, these Versace catalogs, and then they brought me 2 Versace shirts, and one was like a silk shirt. And I threw these away, you guys. I cannot believe I threw these away. I mean, literally just threw them in the trash and threw them away when I was like moving out of some apartment back in the day. Well, one was like this gold silk shirt. It was like a button-down collared gold silk shirt. I mean, it sounds like really bad, but oh Lord. Median. It sounds like it wasn't like gold lame. It was like gold threaded material. And, of course, the model that they had it on in the catalog did not look like me. So, but then they got me this like short sleeve shirt that had kind of like a high collar on it, and it was blue and white, and it looked like a sailor shirt, and it was silk. And I did wear that a lot. I wore that with jeans and sport coats and like Doc Martens. Well, I had these shoes called Berlin shoes that I loved back in the day that had this huge sole on them, and I would wear those. I would wear it a lot with that, and I would wear like a thrift store sport coat, like a black or a blue one. My dad was always like, he always brought like the best presents home from trips. Although, like when I was younger, he would call them airport gifts, because he would always like buy me something at the airport at the last minute. But at least he thought about it, you know? I always thought that was so sweet. Because he would always take time to get me something that like he knew that I would really like, or that would mean something to me, you know? But anyway, yeah, so that was we had a good time on that trip. That trip was a lot of fun. And then I remember I was so tired when I got home, and my mom had a surprise birthday party for me. Like my dad and my stepmom literally dropped me off at the house, and it was like 10 o'clock at night, 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and I like pull in, and my mom's had like the surprise birthday party for me. I don't like surprises, and I don't like birthday parties for myself. In fact, the best birthday that I ever had with my mom was, I feel like I was like 13 or 14. I can't remember how old, but because I used to do things separate with my parents for my birthday. And I can remember I was coming home from tennis practice. I'd had like a bad tennis practice or something. I can't remember what so I played tennis like every day. Like when I was growing up, like during school, I played every day. And I can't remember what happened, but I had like a bad day at tennis. Like somebody was like making fun of me or something, which like never happened in tennis. Because like on the tennis court, like, I mean, I just wasn't naturally, I wasn't naturally athletic, but when it came to tennis, like I was really good. And so like nobody made fun of me because they were about to get their butt whooped, you know what I mean? So anyway, it wasn't like that, but I can't remember what had happened. But it was this camp that I used to go to. So anyway, we were on our way home, and my mom was like, and it was like also like, my mom always wanted me to have like a birthday party, right? And it was like the first year like I hadn't. So maybe I was 12 or 13. And it was like the first year that I didn't have like a birthday party or do something. Like I'd always take like a friend to Kings Island or something with my dad. And it was like the first year that I like didn't do anything, because it was always like, okay, well who am I gonna invite? Because I don't have any friends. You know, who's gonna go with us to some amusement? Because I'd always have like 1 or 2 friends, and they would be like friends that, like my mom or dad's friends' kids. And so like they'd be like, well, do you want to invite, you know, Judy Smith, or you know, Steve Jones or whoever, make up somebody's name, you know? But it was always like that. Like, it was never, like, even when I was, like, in junior high, it was like I didn't really have friends. I had, like, one friend, kind of off and on, but he came from a big family. This car in front of me, something's going on. They're, like, backing up at the red light, and they're not taking off. Like, they're drunk or something. Now they're taking off, like, a mile a minute. Something's going on. But anyway, and now there's a car on the left, so I can't pass it. But, like, that was, like, the first year that I didn't have, like, I can remember my mom just felt bad. Like, she was like, well, you don't want to do anything for your birthday. That was actually, honestly, like, the beginning for me of never wanting any attention on my birthday. Like, I love when people, like, reach out and say, happy birthday, and oh my God, I can't believe it's your birthday. Like, that means a lot to me. And, like, the best birthdays I've had with Alex are where we go to, like, a double feature and go see 2 movies and then go to Steak and Shake in between. Like, before I was a vegetarian or something, like, today I'd go somewhere else, you know? Like Cheesecake Factory or something. But, like, I don't want any singing of birthdays. I don't want any, like, I just don't want any of that. I don't enjoy all that. I don't like that kind of attention. I know this is kind of a funny story, but I think, like, this is the reason why I don't like birthday parties. I used to get so excited about them when I was little. And so, like, because I would, you know, play tennis in the summer at these camps, and these weren't, like, the kids that I played tennis with, I played tennis in leagues with them for years, right? So they weren't kids that, like, knew me from school. They were kids that went to 10 different schools in Indianapolis. So I just knew them, and they didn't, like, dislike me or judge me for that, right? But I invited this kid. I can't remember who it was. I actually saw him not too long ago here in Indianapolis. But, like, I mean, no animosity, obviously, but, I mean, it's been so long. God, I think I was, like, 9 or 10. And my grandma used to buy Caroline and I these, like, always these matching, like, velour tennis outfits, you know, or jogging suits that zipped up. Ironically, very much like the ones that Jeffree Star wears, but back in the day, they were Adidas or whatever. And I always wanted white or light blue. And so we were sitting, like, on our porch, and, like, they were, like, handing presents to me to open. Like, I was opening presents, and there was probably, like, 7 or 8 kids there or something. And, I remember because we did this birthday thing where, like, you tied a balloon to somebody's ankle, and then we did this in the backyard. I remember we set it up out there, and I was so excited for it. And then, like, after this happened, I just was done. Like, I told my mom I wouldn't come down from the birthday party. And this was the last birthday party that I ever had, so I don't know what year that would have been. But, and then the next year, I don't think I did really anything. So this would have been, like, the first year after that, and I didn't really have any friends. But anyway, I can see myself being happy at, like, some of these parties that I had, you know, when I was younger. Even though they were just, like, friends of, like, the family or whatever. And I remember, like, we were doing this game, like, my mom and I had set it up where you, like, have this balloons on your ankle, and then you hop around, and you have to, like, pop the other person's balloon, and whoever's left last, like, gets some present. I always like to do the games at my parties where, like, people won presents. But we were, like, they were, like, handing presents to me, and they were all sitting on the floor, and I had to, like, stand up, like, when somebody would hand me a present. And I stood up, and I had one of those track suits on, and this kid de-pantsed me, like, pulled my pants down. I mean, I had underwear on underneath it. Now, I know it sounds really funny, but imagine to, like, an 8 or 9-year-old or 10-year-old kid, like, I was humiliated, like, absolutely humiliated. As a kid that always, like, had, like, somebody, you know, like, when I was working in counseling, my counselor said to me, he goes, I definitely believe that you have suffered from, that you have some PTSD from suffering bullying for so long because you never knew where it was coming next. It was like, right? And we, like, worked on that. And, you know, I think about that. Like, that's one of the harshest things about bullying is you never know when, like, it's going to happen again, it's going to happen again, it's going to happen again. You know what I mean? It's hard. So anyway, I didn't want to have a birthday party after that. But, like, my mom and I can't remember what year it was, but I was coming home from tennis, and I had like, a bad day or something. Maybe it was just because it was my birthday, and I didn't want to do anything and whatever, you know? She was like, what do you want? She was like, I'll get you anything you want for your birthday this year. Me and my mom always said that, but within reason. And I remember, like, everybody had, like, gotten, like, a VCR except for us. My mom was always, like, the last person to get anything. Hell, she didn't even get cable till, like, 5 years before she died. She refused to pay for it. My aunt and uncle got her a new TV and cable so she could watch the Academy Awards clearly on a nice TV. So I was like, well, I want a VCR. So I remember we went to H.H. Gregg, which is actually closed down here. And she bought like, I remember she got like a credit card, I think, and opened it because she got like 10% off or something. But like, we got this card, and it was like, with so many rentals, you get like free rentals or something. And this guy just like stamped the hell out of this card. He was so nice to my mom. And so he was like, here, you guys get like 6 free rentals or something. We got like all these free rentals with like renting it. And we rented like Rear Window and Arsenic and Old Lace and, you know, The Birds. We rented like all of these like old scary movies that we love. Sorry, Wrong Number with Barbara Stanwyck. And I remember we got Chinese food because I used to love Chinese. Well, I still do, but we would get moo gai pan on white rice, and then we would get egg rolls. And that was like what my mom, which is so funny because for years I never got that, you know, like for years after, I still love moo gai pan, but like, well, before I was a vegetarian, but my mom and I, like, I would always get, when I went to like the Chinese buffet, I would get like the general, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Sal's chicken or whatever. I hardly ever got like moo gai pan. And that's what we did, and that was probably like the best birthday I ever had with my mom. Later, she would always like make me my favorite. She would make me chicken curry, and then like a key lime pie. Because key lime pies and pecan pies are well, I love pumpkin pie, but I don't really like pumpkin pie in the summer. My birthday's in the summer, you know, it's in June 29th. So she would either make me like a pecan pie. One year she made me a pecan tart, I remember. I don't know why I remember that. It was like this little pie, it was cute. But she would either make me a pecan pie or a key lime pie. And she would make it from scratch. And, because I didn't like birthday cake. When I was growing up, I loved having ice cream cake as a kid. But speaking of earlier, I was talking about my mom with like our sobriety and stuff. Like, we never went to the same meetings. I think we went to like 1 or 2 together, maybe. But we never heard each other's leads. We never went to the same meetings. That was a decision that we made together consciously, because we're like, I need to be able to go to a meeting and talk about my mom openly if I have things I need to talk about, and vice versa. And we kept our programs completely separate, which I think was vital. I would recommend it to couples as well, not just family members, but family members too. You know, it's just like if Alex and I were both sober and, you know, in a 12-step program, like, how am I going to sit across from Alex in a meeting and say, well, like, my husband's been driving me crazy? You know what I mean? Like, how can I say that in a meeting and feel comfortable and be open? So that's how my mom and I were. And we're like, no, we need to keep our programs separate. So we did. So I didn't know, like, other than what my mom would tell me, like, I didn't know, you know, that my mom, like, I mean, I would hear names of people that she was friends with, but we went to completely separate meetings. My mom passed away, probably like, well, when I started going back to meetings again, I started going to a lot of the meetings that she went to, and I went to like 2 or 3 of them. Well, two of them. No, 2 or 3. I actually spoke twice, maybe, definitely twice. Remember last winter when I spoke? That was one of my mom's meetings that I spoke at, that Friday night meeting. I may have not talked about it on here, but I think I did. And Tanya and my sponsor went, and we all went out to dinner afterwards. That was a really fun night, actually, but I was so nervous because I hadn't spoken in a long time. But anyway, when I started going back to meetings, people would say things to me, like if I talked about my mom having passed away and she had been sober or whatever, afterwards people would come up to me and they would say, like, who was your mom? And I would say, you know, and they would be like, oh my God, like, I loved your mom. She was so sweet. We were such dear friends. Or they would say, I didn't know that was your mom. I'm so sorry. You know, because like people that I would know from meetings never knew that my mom was my mom, you know. Oh my God, you guys, my nose is driving me nuts. So anyway, it was weird though when people would come up to me and they would, you know, say that. They would be like, did you just see something that looked blue? Oh, there's a police officer back there. Oh, there's like an accident or something. Just weird to know that like my mom had this whole, like, you know, I mean, it's not weird really when you think about it being her sobriety or whatever, you know, but well, all right, you guys, listen, I'm back in town. The boys are back in town. Oh, I think our friend Brittany posted that on her Instagram or something like that. But anyway, I'm gonna get off here now, and I am going to listen to some of my audiobook. I watched the movie Alone tonight, the horror movie Alone, on the plane. I thought it was horrible. And I thought I would give it 1.5, 2 stars. 1.5. And then I watched Ava with Jessica Chastain. Gina Davis was in it. She was fantastic. Colin Farrell was in it. John Malkovich. It was so good. It was so good. I loved it. Oh my God. Was that her name? Jessica Chastain? I love her. I want to get like a cup of coffee or something, I think. I'm going to go into this gas station. Anyway, I'll talk more about those movies tomorrow if I remember. But I hope you guys are having an amazing Monday. I'm going to get off here. I'm going to do a real short outro tonight because I haven't in a long time. If nobody else has told you this today, if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Be kind to one another. Practice random acts of kindness, but don't tell anyone, like I also always say. Practice random acts of kindness, but don't tell anyone. And most importantly, make sure that you reach out to somebody and let them know how much they mean to you. Where is my one mask that I had in here earlier? Let's see what else. Do something today that will make you happy. Do something, oh, here it is. Do something that will make you proud of yourself when you look back on it. Like, if you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up, this video vlog. And think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't already and being part of the OG Wolf Pack. And if you already have subscribed to this channel, thank you. And please check and see if you're still subscribed and make sure. And always, like it says in the 4 agreements, always lead with love. And let's put some love, kindness, compassion, understanding, goodness, and forgiveness out there in the world. And I love you guys so much. Thanks for watching. And this was in 50 different directions tonight, wasn't it? Anyway, I never do that. Anyway, I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!